People are often disenchanted with best ball in terms of there's no weekly sweat. I want to check in on my teams, see what's going on. How do I know if they're doing any good? Well, Underdog changed that, and they have presented a tournament that lets you sweat weekly, and we're going to fire one today. Let's get into it.
Three, two, one. Liftoff.
That's right. Today we are going to fire into an Eliminator tournament, which to me is basically the most exciting tournament there is out there. I enjoyed it tremendously last year. Wish I had got into more. Why is my cell phone making noises? Forgot to shut. I never have the sounds on. So that's interesting. Good morning, Star Kindler. Good morning. And today, yeah, I wanted to finally jump into a live Eliminator draft. So honestly, without further ado, we're going to do this layout for a second while I play around with some things, but let's just get right into it. Let's jump into this Eliminator draft. You guys know my name. I can take that off, right? You guys know that I am Rob Coakley at King Coakley. We are waiting for 7. And while we wait for this 7, let's talk a little bit about what an Eliminator is. Let's find our best layout here. Do you guys like something like this? Do you want me to go back to sort of the other way I used to do this, which is something like this, I guess? We could do this instead. Let's do this for now, see how this works out when the draft starts. Yeah, so for those that don't know what an Eliminator is, the Eliminator is sort of a weekly sweat in the sense that whatever your bracket is, a certain amount of people in that bracket is going to get eliminated. So the first week, the 12 that you draft with, the bottom 2 are going to be out of the tournament. And it goes on like that every week until week 17, and we get into a final. And then it's, all the money, week 17, all that fun stuff. So that changes week by week. When you're doing this, you want to check that and be looking to see which weeks eliminations happen and yada, yada, yada. But we're going to do it today. We need 5 more. If you're interested in doing an Eliminator, jump in. We got Fantasy Football Garages here, Best Ball on Call. Carl's, what's going on? Good morning, Olaf. We also hope everyone is doing well. Is it Carl's? Like, the E throws me off, man. Is it Carless? Like, we don't have a car? Let me know in the chat how to pronounce it. What's going on, Deludo? So, yeah. Oh, God, everyone's popping in today. Michael, Versier, we're all here. We're all having a good time. I actually still have some of my coffee left, which is, look at that. I even nailed the logo placement. When I thought I wasn't having a good show, I just went back into host mode, nailed the Mary Lou's placement. Are they sponsoring me? No, but we're going to drink their coffee. Is it good? Probably not, but I like it because it tastes like chocolate milk, and I'm a child. So it's Carless. Okay, cool. We will remember that for the future. We are still waiting on 5 in this tournament. So what we're going to talk about as we go through this is there is some very particular strategies you should be looking at in terms of how you draft in the beginning. Build a 4 RB team. That's funny. I actually just built a 4 RB team that I finished in an Eliminator. While we're waiting, let me see if I can find it. So let's go to the Eliminator. I just made my last pick. It actually might still, actually, were we the last pick? We were the last pick, so it'll be done. Let me see if I can find the Eliminator first of all. And is it like a certain, oh, Eliminator right here. Duh. Didn't name it. I should name them to make this a little bit easier. Let me see if I can find this particular team. Well, this wasn't the one I was thinking of, but here's a 4 RB team. It was Jaden Daniels, Caleb, Bo Nix, Bijan, Devon Achane, DeAndre Swift, and Rico Dowdle, with Neighbors, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, Brian Thomas, Bateman, Franklin, Devontae Walker, Goddard, Henry, and Juwan Johnson. Not the team I was looking for, though. The team I was looking for is this one right here, where at quarterback we have Mahomes and Caleb Williams. Running back, I went CMC, Kyron, Kenneth Walker, and J.K. Dobbins as like a Hail Mary fourth RB. And then for wide receivers, Devonta Smith, Hollywood Brown, Roma Dunze, Jerry Jeudy, Quentin Johnston, Jahan Dotson. Say that 5 times fast. Troy Franklin, Rashad Bateman, Devontae Walker, Brock Bowers, Jake Ferguson, and Isaiah Likely. So we went heavy on Baltimore pass catchers without having Lamar, which is interesting. How do I feel about the 3 QB craze and Eliminator? That's a lot of folks seem to prioritize. I think it's overthinking it. I mean, I think there are plenty of good 3 RB builds, but I think if that's what you're looking for is, I don't know. I think 3 QBs, you have to be very specific about how you want to draft a 3 QB team, in my personal opinion. And not all the drafts I'm doing is what is leaning towards 3 QBs. So, and thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Yeah, that team was fun. I just decided to tack on Dobbins with all the extra firepower I had at the other positions. I felt it was fine. We're still waiting for 2 right now in this particular draft. Let's throw some music on while we wait and get this party going. Let's reverse the playlist this time. Shout out to DJ Double Take, Jesse Wilkins for providing us music here so that we can play more than just stock music from StreamYard, have our own version of stock music. So we have 1 person left. We're going to be getting into this Eliminator, which I am excited for. I'm trying to make sure I get like 100 of these in is what I want to do. It's not Slayer. It is not Slayer, Michael. I apologize. I don't think I have, well, I definitely don't have the money to license Slayer for a Sunday morning best ball draft on July 14th, 2024. That would be Eric Binefor's department. We will see if he will pay the exorbitant amount of money, more than we probably put out for a best ball season, just to license Slayer for 4 minutes on a Sunday morning. It seems like it would be money well spent for us, I would say. Probably. Maybe. There's 1 spot left. Who wants the coveted 12 spot? If you get the 12 spot, I promise you will get a 1-on-1 in your next 10 drafts. And that might be the first broken promise I have to do at all. Yeah, Versier, I think like if you're doing it, it's very particular to the late round guys, but how are you doing that in an Eliminator, right? Like the value of some of the late round guys aren't nearly as good. We're not even in the draft. Who are we as people? And we're going to be drafting from the 10 spot, it looks like. See, a lot of the chat is in here. Star Kindler, Deludo, Versier. I'm sure a few others. Let us know. We'll be drafting from the 110. Oh, James, I don't know if I'm the guy to come through for tutorials. I am very much, I don't want to say I'm against the grain in terms of best ball, but I would say that I am trying to figure out how to exploit the things that we know how to do well, or people that are implementing things that we know how to do well. So I think this view's fine. I think we're going to stick with this view. You get to see the draft board. Might even be able to, nah. Let me know if that's too small. And then we'll adjust. The 7 spot. Yes. I mean, I'd rather have the 12 than the 10, to be honest. If we're just like being completely honest here, I'd rather get the double tap. So I prefer the 12 over the 10. Good. So everyone can see that. Good. And this starts off relatively normal. Justin Jefferson gets pulled up to the 3rd by Star Kindler. I don't think that's anything out of line by any means. By any means at all. We see the normal 7 to 8. I would assume Briscoe's here. Yep. And we're going to have choices coming up. I have no Puka in this tournament at all yet through 20 something drafts. And I'm really low on Garrett as well, but I think I've been getting more high picks on the Eliminator so far, so that will balance out as I do more drafts, obviously. But we'll just take Puka for now and make a decision based on that after this. I don't think we'll be doing a 4 RB draft just based on where we're starting, but you never know. Some things could break certain ways. Unless you guys want to get like super wild. I don't even think I can do what I'd want to do if we got super wild.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Let's see who falls to us, and then let's make a decision. God, I have a lot of Marvin Harrison with Puka when I draft them. When I draft Puka, 42% of my Puka teams have Marvin Harrison. Obviously not in the Eliminator at all, because I haven't done that yet. Let's YOLO it. Let's pull Achane way up to the second round, to the beginning of the second round. I want to get a different Achane team. I'm not taking Saquon. How do you like that, though? I pulled up a guy past Saquon at his position. Does that entertain you guys? Does me pulling Devon Achane up to the 15th pick? How do you guys like that? So we'll pull Achane up and we'll see what we can do from there. We love that Achane and Puka have the 6, the bye week, the same bye week. 10 a.m. on Sundays might not be my spot. I am not talking well the last few weeks. Yeah, I do like Kyron McBride. I have some of that as well. That's fun stuff. And I'm not against getting, Marvin Harrison with Puka, but let's go into our bag of tricks. Let's try to build a different type of Eliminator. And I think the way to do that is we just pull Achane up. Now, as we go through this, I've been trying to get more Achane teams recently because the drumbeat has started for Devon Achane at camp, or camp's coming, but it's started, with workouts and stuff like that. I think Achane's going to move back up potentially. I do think he is a guy, though, that some people are going to caution themselves with and think that maybe he was fluky in the first year. We wanted to do some sort of Kyron bring back here, but that's fine. But so now that he's gone, I've been trying to get a couple more Achane Kyron builds in Best Ball Mania, starting with like a wide receiver, whether it be Lamb, Chase, etc., from that position, and pulling Achane Kyron up, because I think that pairing is going to be close to impossible unless you start to pull Achane, unless you try to start doing it at the 1-2 turn by the end of August. And I can't say that for sure is going to happen, but I feel like that's where that is going to start directing itself to. Like, if you wanted that pairing, you would have to do something like that. So if I can get those two with a Jamar Chase, a CeeDee Lamb, and the only other way to do it is to get them at the 1-2 turn in August, then I want to get like 2 to 3 more of those to have like 5 or 6 of that combo of guys. Personally, is the way I'm looking at it. So we see Diggs go. We got like Pittman, Tank Dell, say Flowers on board. And I think the way I want to go with this is let's grab Tank Dell. I'd like more Tank Dell in my portfolio overall. So let's do this. Let's grab Tank. Let's grab Trey McBride here to get our tight end. Get a little correlations. Yeah, 12 hole is going for it with the RBs right now. They went Gibbs, Taylor, Pacheco, ETN. So it'll be interesting to see if they stop at 4 there. Again, this is some of those teams that I'm personally trying to exploit. They could turn this into something. So I'm not going to knock it at the moment. It's not something I would do personally, but it doesn't mean that the team's going to turn out bad at the moment. What I notice is when people start like this, this is where they should be stopping, and they don't stop, right? So how do I build for running back teams that I can stop with? And you kind of saw a few of the examples that I made where I'm not doing it just from 4 straight RBs early by any means. I think I had 3. What was it? It was like CMC, Achane, Kyron or something like that. And then I tacked on J.K. Dobbins as like a late round flyer to mix in with that. So that's as extreme as I'll go with like 3 early RBs. I've done it with Bijan, Kyron, and Achane as well, and just being very specific. The one problem is Achane and Kyron have the same bye, which kind of sucks, right? In terms of trying to build those teams. So you got to be very deliberate about how you're choosing the guys around them. But that's always my goal, is to see how people are building teams that I think the general population is building bad, and how can I build those teams well? Because the people that are going 4 or 5 wide receivers early all the time, right? And they're so scared to try to build teams like that, or they just feel like it's not the right way. So how can we exploit those drafters, especially early, when these are the teams being drafted, and myself included? 80 to 85% of those teams are probably like that, maybe a tick under. But if we look at our draft right here, let me just change songs as we look at this draft. 1 hole 4 wide receivers, 2 hole 3, 3 hole 4, 3 3. This one, DeLudo's doing something a little bit different, which I sort of like. Then we got 4 here, and then 2 2, but they haven't had their 5th round pick yet. And I'm not even saying that's bad. I'm just saying there's ways to go the other way with it. So that's what I'm working on as I work through these. We are just going to grab my favorite pick at this spot, which is Jaden Reed. So we'll grab Jaden Reed right now. Trey McBride. Okay. I think I'm going to go Rashee Rice. I'm just trying to think through this a little bit in terms of what I want to do here. And I just think I think Rashi's the play here. So that's what we're going to do. So through 6, we have Puka, Devon Achane, Tank Dell, Trey McBride, Jaden Reed, and Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, I'm leaning towards Rashee Rice does not get suspended this year. I just think that it gets pushed to next year for some reason. I just think that they're not going to get the case through in time, and they will continue to push this down the road, probably to like some sort of March trial date or something. But I think we're going to not hear about a Rashee Rice suspension until next year, and I think the general public outcry from the beginning is going to be significantly reduced. People move on, people forget about things, and I think we get like a 2 or 3 game suspension overall. So that's the way I think that this goes. Yeah, exactly. Look at the Kamara suspension, and Kamara's was like, I don't think Kamara's was as bad as Rashee Rice's overall, but the video evidence is worse, and we know that the NFL will really lean into some sort of video evidence with this stuff, you know? That video drops, and boom. So I don't remember hearing anything about video of the Rashee Rice incident. Yeah. The wheels of justice turn quite slowly. Trust me, I am well aware. I'm well aware that the wheels of justice move quite slowly. 7 Sundays left until NFL kickoff. Doesn't that shock you a little bit? A little shocking, right? So I think this is where these eliminators start to get a little bit more interesting in terms of player selection. There's guys in the eliminator that I'm taking a lot more frequently in other tournaments that I have to have specific builds to even consider grabbing them in this tournament. Right? Yeah, I'm right up there with you, Versaire. He is a staple of my portfolio at the moment. But someone like Jonathan Brooks, I have him only 7% in this tournament, and it'll probably come in under. I just, excuse me for a second. I just need really specific builds to feel comfortable grabbing Jonathan Brooks there, whereas I'm generally fine with him in all other formats. Maybe put an asterisk next to cumulative scoring a little bit for that one, but generally that is sort of my thought process with him. Is I don't mind him if he's a third RB, but I definitely don't want to pair him with Devon Achane as my second RB. So he kind of comes off the board for me on this particular team. Now, if we're doing, God damn it, JAA, that was the play for me. That's fine. We just easily grab Aaron Jones here, who was a cover boy on this. But Aaron Jones, another 6-round buy. So that's something we need to be cognizant of, that I know it's with my 2 wide receivers here too, but more so that our top 2 RBs have around 6 buys. So that I'm going to be a little more aware of as we move on in this draft. How we want to play this going forward is going to be a tough call. Okay. Okay. So the way we're going to play this is we're going to grab DeAndre Swift for this team to add a third RB, to go with a Achane, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift combo so far. Kyler was going to be my pick in the 7th here, but I do understand JA grabbing him with Marvin Harrison does a sort of almost double elite QB build with Hurts and Kyler Murray. But here's what we're talking about with this 12 hole. They go Gibbs, Taylor, Pacheco, Etienne. They do bounce back by grabbing Ridley and Odunze, but they grab Zamir White. And for me, I just would not be grabbing Zamir White there. I'd be grabbing anything else. I'd be grabbing a QB. I'd be grabbing, a receiver if there was one there that I really felt helped this team out. I could see pivoting from that position based on, we see Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer go off the board next. But if I'm going to build a team with 4 straight running backs, for me personally, I'm going to probably put the stop sign up. And if I wanted a 5th, it would be a 17th or 18th round pick. So this is the point of these teams, though, where people talk about not liking them. And I totally understand not liking them. But if we're going to draft them, I think we can have an edge in how we draft teams like this. And I'm not even saying you have to start with 4 straight running backs. Again, we showed some examples of some of my other teams that I've done it with, where I've started 3 straight, grabbed a 4th that was late with some huge upside. Just a huge quarterback run happening here in the 8th and 9th round. Did not expect that. I was considering grabbing Jordan Love, but it is what it is. We're okay with it. We will survive. We will endure. We will move on. We will find a way to win this tournament, is what I always say. So we are going to have to pivot off of our normal Eliminator builds slightly, which is okay. We are fine with that. And we just need to make some reasonable decisions here in the 9th and 10th round. Let's see where JAA goes here. See him grab Shaheed. Who are our wide receivers? Nakua, Dell, Reed, Rice. Let's grab Njoku for now. I think that works out just fine. Totally understand, Michael. Said he had Sanford and Jacksonville stacks ready for QBs. See Singletary go there. And normally in a BBM, this is where I would love to grab Trey Benson. He would be like my 4th RB with the upside to go with Achane, Jones, and Swift. But personally, I think a better play for this team with Achane and Aaron Jones having the same bye and that bye being early, I'm going to tack on Javonte Williams so that we're looking at Swift and Williams to try to get us through week 6 there. So we have a 0-4-4-2 build right now with Devon Achane, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams. Wide receivers are Puka, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice. And tight ends are Trey McBride and David Njoku. So that's where we sit at the moment. And we have plans for the team. Not the way I would normally like to build. Usually I do have a QB by now. on these teams, but QBs went a little bit earlier in this draft. All the picks made sense, though, for everybody. We had just had guys that were getting 2 QBs early, and to be fair, I do that quite a bit in these tournaments, so I totally understand it. Hey, Versier, you are welcome. Again, this is... let's look at Versier's team. So he went Amon-Ra, Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson, George Kittle. He's got Ramondre. He's got Jake Ferguson. He's got Zach Moss and Trey Benson. I think that's fine. Like, I think that RB room is fine. Now, say he had went Zach Moss somewhere other than Zach Moss. He grabbed, we'll just say Jaden Daniels for, purposes, instead of Zach Moss. And then he came back with Trey Benson, right? I think at that point, I would have rather had like a Zeke or Rico Dowdle or something like that to go with this team than Trey Benson. But I think that you can do it fine with Ramondre, Zach Moss, grab another veteran afterwards now with Trey Benson, and it'd be fine. So that's the stuff that I'm thinking. So you got to be very deliberate, especially with these guys that we're looking at as contingent. Again, Trey Benson would have been an auto snap for me and a BBM. I would have been like, well, I got Jones, I got Jones, Swift, I got Achane. Should be able to balance out the team enough there and get through, and then just have Trey Benson be a late season hammer. So I didn't like it as much in this tournament where we're at elimination risk every single week, personally. But I do want Trey Benson on some teams, so I'm going to find ways in the future to make sure that, when I start 2 to 3 running backs, or even if Jones and Devon Achane didn't have the same bye, I think I would have been fine grabbing him there. All right, so we see Jerry Jeudy on board. We have Njoku. That does make some sense for us. So I think we're going to grab Jerry Jeudy right now. Tua doesn't really make sense as a QB unless we wanted to do some backdoor stuff, which I don't even like that's available for this team. So I think we grab Jeudy. And that works for me. Because I took Jerry Jeudy. I gotcha. So we have 5 wide receivers right now. I think something we can do is, I think we can be done with running back. I think Dowdle is a way to end our RB. We get Achane, Jones, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle, and be done at RB. Well, of course, Versier. I'm trying to. I'm going to try to. However, if you guys want Deshaun Watson, take Deshaun Watson. We will figure things out. But I think this is a good way for us to be done at running back and tight end, and to focus on positions we haven't drafted yet and positions we're fine with strengthening up in the back end to have some shots on as well. This won't be my favorite team I've ever drafted, but I think it will be. I feel like we're building a team that could definitely just settle into the middle of most weeks, advance, get there, and be like, how the hell did this team get to the finals? And then have a real shot at making some money in the finals. That's not how I always build the teams by any means, but I think it's a possibility with this team. We do see that the 12 hole grabbed another running back to go with this squad. So these are the things I'm talking about. These are where we can get some slight edges in terms of everyone talks about structure, but I think it really does break down to you have 60% Judy. Yeah, so 85 and 70% is a wild number on Judy and Deshaun Watson. But hey, if he's your guy, I will not percentage shame on this stream. You guys have seen me be quite overweight on certain players. I mean, look at my Bijan percentage. I think it's pretty high. I think it's in the 30s. And he's a first rounder, so we all know how that goes. Yeah, I have a lot of Devontae Walker as well. But the overall point I was making is we know how to draft in the structures we're comfortable with, but I think we also know how to draft structures we're not comfortable with, which allows us to get a slight edge over ourselves, right? Over the people that we like to draft like. So those are things I'm trying to keep in mind as I'm drafting teams and making sure I'm mixing some of those teams in here and there. We're about to be on the clock here in a second. 2 picks away. Wandale on the 13th. Is that early? Has Wandale moved up and I just don't know? Have I just not been paying attention? Is he just a blind spot guy for me in this? I've been grabbing him some on drafters. But if he's going 13th round here, that's no thanks for me. I will pass. This is an interesting little combo here. Jerome Ford with Nick Chubb. We are back on the clock. We are going to go ahead and just lock up Deshaun Watson now. It makes the most sense for us at the moment. So I'd rather not miss out on him, especially when all of these quarterbacks, like on a 1v1, are roughly the same for me. I'm fine with it. And I knew that this guy was probably going to double tap quarterback, which he does. We don't have any Seattle players, do we? No. I think there's some stuff I can do with Baker that I'm fine with taking Baker as a second RB. A second QB. And making something work with that. So that's where we're going to go with that. Tez, I've been grabbing so much in drafters just because when you get to that 19th and 20th round and he's still sitting there, there ain't much, man. There ain't much. And there's about to be even less probably when we start to get more news of what's going on with these teams in camp. So I've been getting a decent amount of Tez. A couple other guys in the 19th and 20th round there that I've been grabbing. DraftKings is interesting because some of the guys you really like will fall to the 19th and 20th. So very different there. But yeah. So he goes Cousins, Stafford. Has no stacks for them. So it does feel like he's either autopilot or just clicking buttons. What is Tez Walker's path to fantasy useful? Just getting on the field and being the second, Rashad Bateman busting, which is a, is a season by season thing, and he's out there frequently. Yeah, I mean, Bateman is bad is the answer here. But I've been mixing in Bateman too, so like I like to mix both of them in just in case. I'm not trying to be severely overweight on either. I don't think it's just injury contingency. I think it's Tesgo Burr over Bateman, right? And he has some useful weeks with Lamar. He's just on the field a higher percentage than Bateman by week 7, 8. Bateman just being Bateman, right? So I don't think it's strictly injury. I don't think it's strictly injury contingency with Devontae Walker. I think there are paths to him being on the field. Right. Carlos brings up good points. So that's the stuff I'm looking at. But what are we looking at in that 17th, 18th round to begin with, right? That's the stuff we're looking for. Other people will take, the guy I like to take shots at. People will take Tyler Boyd because he's a comfortable name. But what is Tyler Boyd's actual path to fantasy relevance this year? Minimal, right? So we'd rather take some upside shots there. So I want to grab Troy Franklin. I think he's fine to take here. I think we all know where I want to go with this next pick. And I don't think these two people are watching this stream, so I think we're good, but we won't say the name just yet. This guy's going to grab Drake May, right? You got to grab Drake May. You got to show me some competency here. You have 2 New England wide receivers. You punted QB. I don't even like Drake May in this format, but when you're building the team he's building, you got to grab Drake May. There it is. Feels like he goes Chig here. Feels like Chig is the pick here. I didn't recognize if he timed out though. No, it goes with another running back. Okay. Bryce Young gets taken. We want Jalen McMillan. That was part of the play with Baker Mayfield. Now I'm grabbing Troy Franklin. I'm grabbing Jalen McMillan because I think I have enough firepower to allow these guys in an eliminator to become useful between all my other positions. So that's why we're grabbing those guys there. Yeah, good point, James. Much rather take that risk. I mean, this tournament is a little bit different, but I think it's different generally more in some early round stuff. I still think the late round you can take these flyers if you've built the team that you want to build. So Daniel Jones is off the board, but he's a guy that so it's a great pick versus here. He is a guy that I've been targeting in this tournament while fading him in almost every other tournament. So Daniel Jones, I take in Eliminator. I take Daniel Jones and Cumulative as well. But Daniel Jones, I just barely ever click in any other tournament. I think it's obvious the reasons why. we're worried about him not finishing out the season based on contract stuff. But if he gets me 11 or 12 weeks, 13 weeks, whatever, in cumulative or this, and helps me get there, then we are more than fine with that outcome. Probably Mac. I mean, he's probably great in weekly winners. I'm not participating in weekly winners this year. I don't believe. If I do, it'll be no more than 10 teams, probably, is the way I've decided in my brain. I'm not super into the weekly winners. That's just not a tournament for me. Doesn't mean it's a bad tournament. Just means it's not really something I'm personally looking at. But I can definitely see taking Daniel Jones in that particular tournament. All right, so we're going to grab Bo Nix as a third QB. This is a team that I actually do think needs 3. And I think Bo Nix is the perfect third for this, to go with Watson, Baker, and Bo Nix. That was another reason why we grabbed Troy Franklin, hoping to do a push there. I think we're done with every position. I think we can just take an absolute flyer at wide receiver to finish this team out. And I know the way I would like to go with it. Although Javon Baker being there in the 18th round is kind of fun. But, you know what? We'll grab Baker. I really like grabbing Malik Washington on these teams, but what's Baker's? He's 14. I think either is fine. I think we'll just grab Javon Baker. But I like grabbing Malik Washington. Like, if I have a huge upside, especially when we have this Cleveland stuff and we have Achane, Malik Washington would have been a fun player for this team. But Javon Baker in the 18th, we'll take Javon Baker in the 18th. Let's run through our team real quick. We went Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix. Sort of got boxed out at QB early, ended up with a 3 QB build. Running back is Devon Achane, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle for a 5 RB room. Puka, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, Jerry Jeudy, Troy Franklin, Jalen McMillan, Javon Baker, and Trey McBride and David Njoku at tight end. Feels like a very strong team. Feels like a team that can really push through an eliminator tournament where it never scores the most points in a week, but maybe you can in the playoffs, is sort of the way I'm looking at it. But I might be underselling it a little bit. It does feel like a fun team. Totally understand Hoosier. And being focused on the different types of tournaments matters as well. Do you take Russ or Tolbert? Let's see what you did. You went with Russ, which I think is fine. Is fine for this tournament. Other tournaments I'm taking Russell Wilson in is this, and so I'm playing cumulative a lot like this with a few little minor tweaks here and there. I'm just kind of looking at those relatively the same for a lot of the things. So that's what we're looking at. Got through that draft pretty fast, but I cannot do a second draft today as I am heading to New York tomorrow, so I got a lot to get done. I'm actually going to be in New York quite a bit over the next 6 to 7 weeks, so doesn't mean that the Sunday show goes anywhere. I'm home on the weekends, but for this particular week, I need to do a bunch of laundry and go food shopping and bring food and make salads and all that fun stuff. Lots of meal prep, lots of packing, lots of getting ready for New York. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with me on a Sunday morning, 10 a.m. My favorite drafts to do, the more chilled, laid back, relaxed drafts. We have a lot of fun in these rooms. We talk strategy. If you're in the Spike Week Discord on Tuesdays, be sure to look out for the link to the lab. Jump in the lab. That's where we get some of the best ball conversations in the entire industry, where people from Discord jump in, and usually myself, Eric Beimfor, Hacker, are in there talking. But we hear from the community. We hear from the best ball players, what they're doing to attack these drafts, how we think we can offset some of these other stuff, like when somebody drafts 4 RBs early and then doesn't stop. How can we account for that? How can we do it better? I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.